Peppermint Kiss. This is the book. I got a phone call the other day, a while back, from Miss Powell. I haven't heard from her in a long time. She said, we have, I think you did put some on the YouTube page. Anyway, I said, oh, another marriage couple book. Oh, I've seen them all. Yeah, right. But I got into this book, and as Mary J. Brown said, this joint here, this joint here, woo! Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to meet. No, before I do that, just real fast here. I started to feel good about being a woman who loves herself while the affiliations of others. Let me be honest, I was a little scared and shocked, but I was going forward, full steam ahead, because I was loving this newfound look on life. And the boy, did it feel good. Ladies and gentlemen, what's the name?
Deidre Powell.
And?
Harlan Powell.
Do it again.
Deidre Powell.
Harlan Powell.
Do it one more time, you don't mind.
Deidre Powell.
Harlan Powell.
Give it up for them. You know, I was, flirting with each other. Tell us, how'd you meet?
Okay, so, where do we begin?
Yeah, where do you all begin?
Tell us.
Okay, so it goes back 11 years ago. My husband and I was actually in another relationship.
You were married, right?
Yes, I was married, and he was also in a relationship. And we weren't satisfied in those relationships, and we seeked outside of those relationships, and we found each other.
And you couldn't let go neither, right?
Nope.
You know, there's so many things in this, but usually when I read books, I say, oh, I have so much, there's so many questions, and a short left of time. Well, we're going to urge everybody to buy the book. Trust. Trust must be a key factor in your relationship in order to even make it far. What do I mean by this? You and your partner must be able to trust each other with your lives. Tell us about that.
Well, when we first started, I had an issue with trust because I was so broken. I've been through so many things in life, and I didn't trust anybody. I didn't even trust him. I used to always ask him in the beginning of the relationship, like, what do you want with me? Like, I have the 5 kids. I have a whole bunch of different things going on in my life, and I'm like, what do you want with me? So I didn't trust what he was showing me. He was showing me that he was a true man to me, but again, I've seen so much and I've been through so many different things. I had my wall up, so I did not trust him. I had to learn how to trust all over again, and he showed me. It's kind
of sometimes it's not done overnight, right?
No.
It takes a good while.
Absolutely.
You mentioned I could not treat him like my past. He never did anything to me but loved me. I had to apologize many times to him. In what way?
Okay, with that, again, I was hurt many times in my past. And what I found out was I was treating him how I treated my past. So if someone did something to me, I thought I had to keep my guard up because I thought he would be doing the same exact thing. But one day I had to keep looking at it like, wait a minute, you're treating him how you treated your past. He didn't cause that hurt. He didn't do those things that other people did. I had to learn to love him for who he is, for the man that he was showing me that he is. So the past, we can't hold on to that and then treat the person like that, like the past did. We have to treat the person the way they're treating you now and respect what they're doing. And that's what I had to learn. Like, okay, you weren't the one that hurt me. You weren't the one that did all the yelling. You're not the one that caused all the hurt and the pain. I gotta love you for just who you are.
You said, so yes, self-love must be inevitable in marriage and relationship. Both parties must know the meaning and understanding of loving themselves as well as loving you.
Absolutely.
You mentioned you have 5 children, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'm being realistic about it. A lot of men, wouldn't want women with 5 kids.
Nope. Not at all.
Period.
Mm-mm.
I'm gonna put big period. How did he relate to your children? How do you relate to your children?
Oh, he loves my children. He loves them as if they were his children. There's no difference in the love. They belong to me, so they belong to him. And that was another thing, like, you know, right in the beginning, I was like...
Confrontational.
Yes. Because they're my babies. So when he stepped in, I didn't know how to accept him, to discipline my kids, or even say, put that over there. I'm like, well, let me do it. Let me tell them. So it was a battle.
It was a battle because most of the time people, you met young ladies, they have have children, and they say, well, don't you sit back here, those are my kids, and then, next thing you know, when Johnny or Jane get in a jam, I say, well, come on and help me. There ain't no help there.
And that's the truth.
I'm sorry, you're on your own. Girlfriend,
And that's what it is. I had to learn that, I want you to help me raise my kids, but at a distance, and that's not right to him. Like, okay, when something goes down, of course I'm going to turn to him, but yeah, I don't want you to do so and so and so. No, if you're going to have him be in my life, and if I'm going to have him be in my life, he has to be in these kids' life 100%. I'm not going to say that it was easy doing it.
That's not easy. It's not easy.
Nope, she fought me.
No, I didn't.
She fought me. Anytime I would go and set something up with the kids to clean or something like that, she jumped up and did it for them, and she was like all over it.
Well, that's what mommies do. Protect.
Also, too, you had a dance one night, right? You went out and you all were just hugging up. You all didn't want to let go, right?
Yes, that was in the very beginning.
You said, I want to love you forever, huh?
Absolutely.
Keep me forever. Go ahead.
Okay, in the very beginning, we went out, and I don't know if you guys ever felt this before, like you met someone, but you just, it's something about them, like, I know you from somewhere. We were dancing,
It was no past life, right?
No, it might have been.
The past life, you can tell now.
So we was at a party, and I was dancing on the floor, and somehow the more I danced, my eye kept catching his eye, and I'm like, it's something. It was like it was an attraction pulled across the room. So I know you probably heard this, and I know it sounds very cliche, but it's the truth. I felt like I was dancing just for him.
Oh.
Yes, and that's what it was. It's like everybody else had disappeared, and I was literally. I remember doing this one little dance, and I turned. And there he was, and he watched the entire time.
You want to show that? You want to see that?
No.
We got a baby in the room.
Oh, that kind of dance? Oh.
No.
Okay,
Just,
all right.
when you know someone is watching you, and I felt his eyes on me, which he did share with me later on, which he could speak for himself, I felt like the rhythm of my body caught his vibe, and he was vibing off of what I was doing. They're requesting us to do videos about it. We've encouraged other marriages, because if not just marriages, other people who are in relationships or who are trying to get in relationships, because we don't just make it about a marriage. It's not.
I think that's good. I think that's
It's not
good.
just about being married. It's about being the person that you are if you're going to be married. It's about learning who you are as a person prior to getting married. So we touched on like every basic is. That you're going to get into a relationship to lead up to marriage. And once you get into that marriage, what happens when you're in that marriage? Do you still fuss and fight? Absolutely. Will you still, there's things that people need to know when you get into a marriage as well. So all of it's pretty much in the book.
Yeah, because when you get to a marriage, there's no such thing, everybody live happily ever after. They say, that was when your hard days begin. And when the hard days begin, you have to know how to sustain it and try to keep it going, right?
Absolutely.
And you have to handle a whole lot of things, so
Absolutely. People think once you're married, it's such a walk in the park. I mean, for the most part, it is a walk in the park. But at times, you still got, we get upset with each other, when we get angry with one another, you have to learn how to recover from that. You got to learn how to bounce back from that. Don't stay in that situation. Like, just bouncing off something the gentleman said earlier about him walking out. The one thing we were laughing at what you were saying, I'm the walkout one. I walked out one day because we had a really big argument, and I decided, you know what? I'm getting out of here. You can just keep on talking. So I packed my pillow and my blanket, and I went into one of the kids' room where there's a twin bunk bed.
Yeah, I read that.
You see us, right? So I decided, because I didn't want to hear him anymore. He just kept on going. I was like, you know what? I'm leaving. So I went into the other room. I crawled myself. Now I'm a big girl. I got into this little bed, and I laid there. And then a couple of seconds later, I hear footsteps. I'm like, the kids are in the bed already. Here he comes, right behind me. We're not, and he squeezed all his body up against all his body.
Oh my goodness.
And he held on to me. He said, listen, the one thing we're going to do in this marriage, we're not going to separate. I don't care how mad you are. And he wrapped himself around me. I'm like, and then the fight was over. And it was like, we had to. Yeah, and he was like, you going to stay in this bed? We're going to stay in here together. So I called myself being mad. I'm like, I'm just going to say, and now I'm beating with all this sweat. Like, it is hot. And it's in a bunk bed. And he's being
Bunk bed.
And he would not leave. He would not leave. And his point to me was, I don't care how upset you get. Do not ever leave this room. Do not ever leave this bed. We're going to talk this out. And he's always been that way. Like, I'm the one that, I'm the hot-headed one. So I'm the hot-headed one. And he's the type of person like, listen, no, we're going to work through this. We're going to work this out. And I'm like, but I'm not ready. And he'll make me be ready. We're going to talk about it right here and now.
Hey, just make a laugh and then it's
also,
over.
too, you work together. You have a butterfly, right?
Yes, butterfly rhythm.
You work together. How is it working together? You know, they say like going with me is not like living with me, but how working with me too. How's that? How you come along with that?
Listen, it was the perfect thing to do together. He and I. I'm a plus size model, and I decided to open up a company called Butterfly Rhythm. And what it is I try to encourage women to believe in themselves, to trust in their, believe in themselves, believe in who they are in their size. So I decided to open up this company, and then also I'm a model as well. He decided to go back to figure out the photography part of it. So instead of me going out there constantly paying somebody to do my photo shoots, he'd step to the plate. He was like, babe, listen, I got this. Let me figure out this whole camera thing. I'm going to do it.
Okay.
And that's what he did. He went back and he figured out the classes. He went out and got a camera. Okay. And now I'm his model. Okay. He's my photographer.
Oh, and that's no, we'd like to thank you very much for joining us. And, well, if you watch it on the social media or you watch it on the cable, how we run it, they'll see you back again. Okay. And we thank everybody. We thank the professor. We thank Sister Jennifer, Angela. What else we thank? Well, Corey comes me out of school. Eric, you know my son Eric. We thank you all, and Brother Will, because he wanted to come. We would like to thank you very much. And we'll see you soon on LMS. To the LMS show. Give yourselves a big hand. They're back. The Powells. Oh my goodness. You know, I would like to ask you a question about. Let me see. Because this book is not only, you know, well, like I'm gonna say a gossip book, but more of a spiritual book too. Tell me about the young lady, Jacqueline. What's it, Jack?
Yes, my friend Jacqueline Ricks.
Yes,
yeah, she was diagnosed with brain cancer not a few years ago. About 2 years ago. 2017? Since 2017 she was diagnosed with brain cancer.
Yes.
And the first time she was diagnosed, she kind of kept it to herself and she really didn't share it. I knew something was wrong, but she never allowed me to get close to her. The second time around, you know, she and I worked together for 4 years, and
When she worked at your job?
yes, we
Okay.
worked together.
I know.
And then the second time around, we were sitting across from each other, and she kept telling me something was wrong. And then, like, you can tell something wrong because you can hear her speech changing.
Mhm.
And she asked me, she used to call me Deej, and she was like, Deej, do you hear do you hear me sounding different? So I told her, I said no, but I did hear it. So then I finally told her, I said, yes, I do hear you sounding a little different. She was like, something is not right. And I was like, okay. So she went to go get her MRI, and she had, get some testing done, and the testing came back that her cancer had returned. And at that moment, I was sitting across from her, and I just was like, Lord God, if you want me to be with her, teach me how to help her. And without me ever saying it to her, she had come up to me one day at work, and she had asked me, I need your help.
Okay.
And then we went into the bathroom, and she had taken off her wig. I've never seen her without a wig, and I think it was her way of testing to see if I was the person that God wanted me to be for her.
That's important, because you just can't get anybody. Because because I'm not saying you're spilling the beans, but you're putting your confidence in a person.
Right.
And you and your husband work together on this, right?
We worked together with her.
Yes.
Yeah, we did it together. It was.
I think that, give them a big hand, Some people just like say, no, I don't want to be bothered with this, and just get away, But
No,
you
when I called him, because she had asked me, she said, can your husband, she knew that the relationship that my husband and I have, we're pretty much joined at the hip, and we do literally almost everything together. And she had asked me, she was like, Deej, I know you can't take on board, but will your husband be able to take my MRI results to my doctor? And I said, absolutely. I ran back to my desk and I called him, and that's when I asked you, can you take Jackie her information up to TNEC? That's like 40 minutes away. He drove, took her results, and then results came back, and he had to take her to get the results. And I was at work, and my husband was there when she got her final results, and he stayed there with her. They went from, I think they were there like 10 o'clock all the way to the midnight. Oh. And I called him, I checked it. I never felt the need to be like, oh babe, what you doing? He always gave me, babe, I'm here with her. I said, well, she kept telling him, go home to your wife. I need you to go home to your wife. And he kept telling her, no, I'm going to stay right here with you. And I told him, I said, babe, you stay there if you need to, but honey, if you want to come home, we'll rotate and I'll go. He was like, no, sweetie, you stay, because you got to go to work in the morning. I said, okay. So he stayed with her the whole entire time. She kept calling me, tell your husband to go home. You don't have to stay here. It was like me and her battling to get him to leave, and he was like, I'm staying here with her. And he stayed. So he finally came home, and he just kind of like plopped on a bed. And I looked at him, I said, are you okay? And he was just like, babe, she has cancer. And I was like, I know. And he was like, we're going to do this with her. I was like, okay. And then we went back, and we constantly, we were the two that took care of her from that moment. She never left the hospital. We stayed there the whole entire time. It wasn't an easy journey. It was a journey that we know that God allowed us to be there. God chose me and my husband to be there for this girl. There was nobody else. It was just two of us. And
did she have family?
Her family was in Alabama and Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
So
His son was here, but he was in school.
Right, so we took on all of that to be sure that she was taken care of, and she chose the two of us to do it. And I'm glad you said that it's a spiritual journey, because it was. Because when she got sick, she was already in the hospital for a week, and I got injured on my job right after she was discharged from. Once she was admitted to the hospital, I had an injury in my knee. I went to the doctor like a week later, and the doctor told me, this is your last day at work. And I'm looking at him like, what are you talking about? I said, this is your last day at work. You have to have surgery on your knee. And it was like, all right, Lord God, you allowed me to have this happen so that I could take care of her. And that's what I did every day. Up until my knee surgery, I was there. Me and my husband, we were there taking care of her every single day. Because like if I was working every day, I wouldn't have been able to be there to give her not care like medical care. I was just there being a friend.
How about her I don't want to ask you, but
it's okay.
How'd you take her passing? How you take her passing?
The passing was, my husband prepared me. he kept telling me, babe, it's gonna happen, and I'm just like, no, she's gonna be great. He always prepared me, and I didn't, because I didn't know how I was gonna take it. But he was my strong person throughout this entire process. There was times that I didn't want to go to the hospital. He kept saying, babe, let's go. I was like, okay, baby, we're going. Like, he took a step back. When he was my backbone, I was here with her, and he was behind me. You can do it. Cheering me on the whole entire time. And I'm looking back like, baby, but I'm scared. And he never stepped over his boundaries of getting in the relationship between me and her. He was just the back person, just telling me the whole time, you got this, you got this. There was times that I want to just fall. He was like, nope, keep going, babe. And I look back like, you still there? And he was always in the background. He never stepped in where me and her were learning each other. Like, I was learning how to, because she had lost feeling on her right side, I had to learn how to hold her up. I had to learn how to listen to her speak. My husband never ever.
A caretaker, taking care of a person is a very rough job.
My husband is he's a caretaker.
It's draining. I mean, it's draining, and that's
what my husband is. He is a caretaker, and that's where his role came in to teach me how to be a caretaker. He takes care of. You can talk. I'm sorry.
Another question I'd like to ask you, because do you believe in? I was reading this here. Yeah, I'm going to read this book again. I went home to share this great feeling with my husband. He just smiled. The following Sunday rolled around, and I asked him again, "Would you like to join me in church today?" He said no. My heart was a little broken. So as I walked into the bathroom, I heard in my spirit the words of Shirley Caesar, "Sometimes you have to walk alone." Yep. My heart was so heavy because I didn't want to walk alone to church and serve God without the man I was called to love. I continued to get dressed and went to church. I kept praying for him anyway. I always asked God to protect and cover him. I prayed for his soul and salvation every single day without giving up. This went on for almost 4 Sundays, and the 5th Sunday, I was not led to ask my husband to go with me, as I have done. I got out of the shower, head back to room to continue to prepare myself for another powerful service. My husband had gotten up and was heading to the shower. I asked him what his plans were for the day. He turned around and said, "I'm going to church with you today. Since you didn't ask me to go, my heart and soul rejoiced, but I held in it. I simply smiled at him and said, 'Hurry before you make me late.'" What your thoughts about that?
Okay. Again, I am chosen by God. I know I am. And when we decided we were gonna go to church together, he decided he wasn't gonna go, and I kept saying,
"Is that true?"
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He wasn't going at all. We had been from church to church. We just haven't found the church that met our needs.
Yes. Because
We have to be spiritually fed.
They got out up and down the avenue. Sometimes
It's just not meant for you.
It's not meant for you.
Right. So I guess he had got tired. He was just like, "You on your own, Jay. You can do this by yourself." So I kept asking him Sunday after Sunday. I'm like, "Baby, you going?" He was like, "No." So that 3rd Sunday, I was getting ready to ask him, and I heard the words of Shirley Caesar say, "Sometimes you have to walk alone." And I'm like, "But I don't want to walk by myself. I want my husband." But I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go in here and take this shower. And I did it. That following Sunday, I did not ask him. I didn't say another word. I had already said, "You know what, Lord God? Whenever you want him to come, he'll come on his own." And then I heard all this scuffling around in the room. I'm like, what is he doing? So I just, "Well, babe, what are your plans for today?" And he was just like, "I'm going to church with you since you ain't asked." I was like, okay. But inside, I was just like, yes, Jesus, he's coming. So I just looked at him and played it cool. Just hurry up so you won't make me late. So when he walked, I was like, "Lord, you answered my prayers." So he finally decided to join this church with me, and he came, and we've been inseparable since that day.
Also, too, you think that obviously I don't want to pray. Do you think prayer plays a very big part in your life?
Let me say this: prayer is the key to any relationship. It's not just your relationship between man and woman, but relationships with your family, your friends, your life, your co-workers. Prayer changes everything. And it got to the point where if I couldn't pray, he had my back in prayer. He knows when I'm acting ugly, as he would say. He does this little stupid thing. You gonna pray today? Like, he prays, and it's like, you know, he. Because when I get ugly, he was. What did you say the other day?
What?
When you when I was being real nasty to you.
Ooh.
I was. Dude, we ain't perfect. So I was being really upset. Like I think I just had an attitude or whatever it was, and he was just like pointing on my head. He was like, "I'm just gonna pray for you." Oh, press it hard. I'm like, "Can you stop?" But it just lets me know that he knows the power of prayer just as much as I know the power of prayer. And we have this thing where he'll lead the prayer and I'll finish up the prayer, or however. It's like we know that prayer is the thing that keeps us glued together. Because if we don't pray, we can feel the atmosphere shift when we ain't praying.
Give him a big hand behind that. Now, I read here in this book.
You like my book, didn't you?
Yeah, I already know you do.
I think you like my book.
Yeah, what I do, remember, I have a whole bunch of other authors come up here, and I love them too. But, you know, some of them I say, and that's it. The day of our wedding, I woke up full of tears of joy. I knew my prayers had been answered. I didn't just pray to be a wife or just for a husband. I prayed and asked God to bless what we have created. I didn't want anything more to be what God has assigned me to be, and that it was to be the wife for Harlan. I pray that God would allow us both to be what we created and designed us to be just for each other. I knew that if we stay in His will, He will bless our marriage and make it what He wanted us to be. Our prayers were answered. Let Thy will be done, not what He or what I wanted, but what God wanted us for us. We respond to that.
Okay. We always have this thing, and that's not just with us, but anybody. We always, what we want. It's not what we want. It's what God wants of us. It's His will. That's why we pray the prayer of, let Thy will be done. Okay. It's what God wants us to be. Okay. We can't go out here and say, okay, well, I'm going to be this today. But God didn't tell you to be that. It's not going to happen. Okay. So it's when I pray, and when I prayed about becoming a wife, I didn't just say I want to be a wife. No. Lord God, teach me how to be Harlan's wife.
Oh, you prayed that prayer before?
You're absolutely right. When I prayed that prayer before, I want to be a wife. And he was like, okay, you want to be a wife? You'll be a wife to a husband. And that's what I got, a husband. And I wasn't specific in my prayer. So this time around, I said, you know what, Lord God, teach me to be the woman that Harlan needs. So I can meet his needs. And not only that, but teach Harlan how to meet my needs.
On that note, I would like to thank you very much. Wasn't that good? Mr. and Mrs. Harlan